All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this Monday night live stream. I am so excited about this live stream. I got a special guest with me. First of all, let me bring on Thrash Pondo Pons. As always, he's a co-host. He's going to be managing the comments as they come in and bringing them up as relative comments as they were coming in. And then our special guest tonight, none other. And I wanted this guy on since I had him on the podcast, and he's had me on his live show a bunch of times. And as kind of a hey, coming back into things, I wanted to bring him on. It's none other than Fat Samurai from the movie Dojo. The movie
Oh,
Dojo.
man. Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. Yeah.
That was a great. That was a great imitation of Conan right
I have
there.
my moments.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Thrash in the house. I was speaking of Thrash. I like that intro, son. I don't know if you saw me when you took me off screen.
Oh, I
was
did.
over
I
here
saw
like,
that. Yeah.
yeah, man.
You know, that's just a free. I don't know what that is. That's just a free one I got off of YouTube.
Oh man,
That's
I'm
a free
I'm
song.
gonna have to try to find that.
You'll have to use your Shazam, whatever, and lift. Maybe it's on there, maybe it isn't. I don't know.
All
I
right,
couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But this is one I wanted to do for a long time. I'll explain to everybody as I explain the Samurai guy. As everybody knows, I like to do two shows normally. I like to do kind of more the private show where we just kind of talk and it's just more of a podcast. And then I put the podcast out there on YouTube, on Stitcher, on Apple, everywhere the podcasts are available. And then I invite everybody. I say, hey, if you want to interact with my guests, come on to the live show so that you can interact with the guests on the same topic. And last time we talked about a subject I wanted to talk about for a while, and that was ninja movies.
Yes.
And I never did the live show of the ninja movies. And the reason is I know you had already had your live show on Mondays already. And I didn't want to rip you away from that. I knew you would have said yes because you're such a nice person. I knew you would have probably said yes, but I was just like, yeah, but he gets that, the cash from it and stuff. And I didn't want to. And then you told me,
get my nickel.
that you
5 hours of editing, get the nickel.
Yeah, that YouTube takes like
60%.
Yeah, wow.
Sucks. Yeah.
That is nuts. And that does that include even the
super chats?
Even the super chats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I pput other ways to, if they would like, there's PayPal and Venmo. I try to give them other ways.
Right.
And I try to let them know, but some of them some of them don't really care. They just like it instant.
Yeah,
and they just like to do it like that. But I appreciate it.
Yeah,
small or big.
Any money's good money, right? I mean, you're not gonna turn that down. So
tell me the Octagon made your list, by the way. Chuck Norris is the Octagon.
Oh, we talked. Yeah. Oh, I think we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, I'm pretty
Love that when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was
actually getting a brand new Blu-ray release from Kino Lorber coming out. So finally. Because for a while that Blu-ray was like really expensive. Like there was an old one that came out.
Really?
And I was like, I'm not paying $70 for. I love ninjas. I love Chuck, but not that much. But yeah, Kino Lorber release is coming out, so that's cool.
That is going to be awesome. I can't wait till they do. The worst one of those was Ninja 3: The Domination. I don't know if it was the worst one, but they. I don't know. Enter the Ninja was pretty bad too.
I guess if you want to include that, but I don't know, man. There's 9 deaths. Was it 9 deaths?
9 deaths of the ninja. Yeah,
I think that one's worse than Ninja 3 Domination.
Ninja 3 The Domination had such inconsistencies.
It was insane.
Yeah, like
it was insane. It was a poltergeist movie mixed with Flashdance, mixed with ninjas, and I don't know. I just loved it, man. Like the opening golf course scene where the ninja just started killing all the people on the golf course,
and
I was rooting for him.
He crushes that golf ball. No, but the inconsistencies in that movie are absolutely insane. Like he throws the star and it hits the guy in the chest, and his windshield's up here, like in the bike. I don't know if you've gone through, but I watched it so many times.
It's been a while.
We had pointed that out.
It's good bad. It's good bad.
It is a great movie for a bad movie. Yeah, it's a great movie for a ninja movie.
It makes me look at V8 differently now.
Oh yeah, I remember that scene
Like,
now.
what the hell? What is happening? All right, hey, that what floats your boat,
Right on. Well, hey,
turns you on. V8.
before we get too far down the chat, as far as discussing great movies are concerned, Thrash Pondo, who do we got in the house that we need to say hi to?
Funny you should ask. We have. Let's see. Huh?
Disappeared. Okay.
Let's try that again.
Oh, all right.
We'll
There
try
we
that
go.
a third time.
There we
Daryl
go.
Johnson in the house says, please hit
Yes.
the like button.
Thank
Hit
you. Yes, for sure. Thank you, Daryl, for being
And
here.
Lance Cheffin says, hiya, Ian and Thrash, if he's there. Yes, I am here.
Yeah, he's here.
And don't
He's
forget
joining
Mr.
us.
Samurai.
Yes, Mr. Samurai, the special guest for tonight.
Let's see. We got Retro Cereal. Thank
I
goodness
just
he's
that
here.
was at the beginning. I just saying, hey,
can we
all
ban that guy? Hit the ban button there.
hit the ban button on that guy, Tracy.
Trader Meyer
Tracy?
says, hi, guys. Hi, Bubala.
How you doing,
Skipping
Tracy?
down, we got
Tons of badasses here tonight.
Yes,
Superplex
for sure.
in the house says, hi, ENC.
Hi, Superplex. Glad you could be joining us.
So what am I, chop liver? We got Patrick D in the house.
Patrick
Good
D.
evening, y'all.
Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening
Glad
to
you could be with us.
We have Mr. Friend of Channel here. Oh, he disappeared. What is going on with my equipment tonight? I'm starting to think it's the actual channel. Here it is. Bam. Bam.
Dave Carloni.
Dave Claroni. Hi, gang. Glad to see you back. Thrash. I missed one night and everybody thinks I skipped the country.
I know. It was on a Tuesday night, so it was you weren't able to make it.
Is that important, man? Come on.
I know. He is.
Thank you. It's nice to be wanted.
He's been a godsend for me. I mean, seriously, because I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. I really can't. So I needed somebody to bring these chats up and be a good, co-host. And so he's been great. Heather
Shum says, hello, guys. Hello to you,
That's
Heather.
awesome. Thank you, Heather.
Oh, yeah. Number one dude in the house. Hi, Daryl and Tracy. And hello to you, too.
Yeah. I don't know which one of us is Daryl and which one's Tracy. No, I'm pretty sure he's talking to people in the chat channel there.
Remember the old Ghostbusters? I'm Spencer. I'm Tracy. I'm Kong. Ken Wilkinson in the house. Good evening, ENC.
Good. Yes, good evening.
Kevin Davis. Hello, Heather.
All right.
He's talking about the Glen, the fields of Heather.
I gotcha.
It's the best I can do on such short notice. Oh, and look who is here.
Danny Staten.
Dan's the good stuff. Hello, Danny boy.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever listened to Danny Staten's The Good Stuff or Dan's Daily Blog, but that's a really great channel over there.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you definitely will.
Yeah,
well, we got to look at this one here. Superplex says, sorry. Hi, T-Pons. Didn't mean to leave you out there.
Hi, Zoop. It was implied or inferred. Yeah. Either way, hello to you too, Zoop.
All right. Well, tonight we are going to be talking all about sword and sorcery films growing up, Generation X. So really mostly films from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I will say that I think that I'm most familiar with the 70s. I mean, the 80s ones. I think they kind of started earlier than that, but they really got their explosion. By the 90s, they went out, and I think we had a little bit of a renaissance in the 2000s. Mm-hmm. So any questions you have now, listen, I cannot tell you enough about how much of a wealth of knowledge our guest is tonight when it comes to movies. I mean, seriously.
Did you get the check? You must have got that check I sent him.
I did.
Okay,
cool. He told me I had to say it if I wanted to cash it. Anyway, we are going to be talking about sword and sorcery films and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nothing's off the table when it comes to that subject. And as I said like a bunch of times, every time I bring a subject up, I always say, this is a subject I've wanted to talk about since I started the channel. Well, it's true. Yeah. It's true with this one. So let's start. Samurai, I just wanted to ask you, what's your relationship with sword and sorcery films? Love them, hate them? What are your favorite ones?
Oh, I love them. Yeah. I love them to the awesome, badass, actually good ones. to the cheesy ones, to the guilty pleasures. I mean, now
Mm,
with every genre out there, you're gonna have some bad ones, and not
yeah.
even good bad, like bad bad. Like, oh
Yeah.
well, I just wasted my life watching that.
Right. Right.
But it just reminds me of the badassity that was the '80s.
Mm,
And when you think of the '80s, it's an era that's hard to beat.
yeah.
It's hard to beat because everything sci-fi, so many classic and iconic movies came from the '80s. You have horror
Hmm.
icons,
Yeah.
right? That still, even today, they struggle trying to make new horror icons. They just, okay, let's keep remaking and rebooting and sequeling because we can't make up our own.
Right.
They exist, but not to the height that was the '80s. And then you have action. Look at the action movies we had, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the martial arts, the golden era of Hong Kong cinema
Yeah.
and Japanese cinema. Like it's insane. So then
Yeah.
you got to throw in fantasy now, and fantasy was at a height because I agree with you. I believe towards the end, the fantasy genre, kind of started to die out. They tried to bring it back with movies like Call the Conqueror, which came out in the '90s,
Right.
which
Right.
I feel bad because I like Kevin Sorbo. I was a big Xena the Warrior Princess fan. I was more a Xena fan than Hercules fan.
Right.
But I was like, "Ooh, Tia Carrere looking hot in this movie. Ooh, she's using sorcerers. All right, I'll go see this." I originally heard that it was supposed to be another Conan the Barbarian movie, and then for some reason they were like, we'll just go to another Robert E. Howard creation, Cull, with this axe I rule. That's an
Hmm.
actual dialogue that's a line from that movie. But
Right.
I took my parents to go see it, and I feel really bad about it because we just wanted to go out, and I felt embarrassed like I made the damn movie, right? But now I wonder if I revisit it after 5 billion years later. I wonder if I'll enjoy it now. I
I
know,
will.
we're
I
talking
would wonder
indie.
that too. Yeah, I would wonder that too. Our
Yeah,
tastes certainly change after a moment. You kind of
yeah.
go back. Do you think that if you went back now, do you think it would be good or just good bad?
It would be good bad if I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
be kind of a
Because it's
guilty pleasure.
PG-13, man.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh. That's the '80s.
Nostalgia is.
Everything was R, man. Oh,
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
Thrash.
Oh, I just want to say, nostalgia is an excellent sauce. Sometimes just the fact that you remember the movie from years ago, even though you didn't like it, will somehow make you like it today. It's funny how that works. There were a lot of movies I hated when I saw, like when I was in high school, because I was a little more uppity about film when I was a
Yeah.
teenager. But now I
Hmm.
can watch these films and thoroughly enjoy them. So I'm certain you would like it nowadays if you
Yeah,
saw
I
it.
think I will, especially since I'm a huge fan of Ian's favorite villain of all time, Terry Silver, from his favorite Karate Kid movie of all time. I'm a huge fan of that guy now, and he's the villain in that movie. He's
Oh
like the
yeah. Okay.
minion
Yeah.
underneath Tia Carrere.
Wow.
So I might go back, and it's got the metal soundtrack. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna really like it if I go back to it, but at the
Right.
time I was like, "Ooh," I was
Yeah.
embarrassed. But the '80s, man. I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, there was always sword and sorcery movies. I'm wondering if Conan the Barbarian kicked
Right.
off the craze. What do you guys think about that?
I kind of
Because it was
think
a hit.
I think it became kind of the gold style. Of course, like in anything, you always have the group before it breaks and becomes popular. You know what I mean? Like in music, there's like we talked about, there's an underground movement before Nirvana, but Nirvana broke it, and Nirvana
Yeah.
then spun off all the copies. And so I think the same thing happened with Conan the Barbarian. I think there's this underground sword and sorcery movie, but Conan really broke the genre. And then the next thing you know, after Conan broke the genre, and people are like, "Oh, hey, I can make money off this." And then now
Right.
let's have TriStar make money. Let's have Orion make some money. Let's have,
Hmm.
so and
Canon
so
films. Canon films.
make some
Who
money
tell me you
off
guys
this.
love and everybody watching in chat, tell me you love Canon Films' The Barbarians. Come on.
I Canon Films is the Barbarian. I'm not sure I've seen
It's
that one.
hilarious.
Oh, it is.
It's
It
two
is.
twins, bodybuilders.
Oh
And it's a
yeah.
comedy. It's supposed to be stupid. Like
Okay.
it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, but it's so much fun. Like Richard Lynch is the villain. You got a lot of eye candy, if you know what I mean. But for both parties. But Barbarians is hilarious, man. It just came out on Blu-ray remastered. Barbarian, you will crack up.
I'll have
Barbarians is hilarious.
to stream that one.
Yeah.
Thrash, let me get you in on this. Tell me what your relationship is to your memories of growing up and watching this genre, and then let's get to some comments after that.
Of course, just an answer to did Conan sort of cause it to move forward? Conan, in my opinion, there was before Conan and after Conan. Conan was a game changer. Conan got the ball rolling. I mean, it probably triggered the 80s sword and sorcery renaissance that we all know. But for me, it actually started a little earlier. I discovered it when I was 10, 11 years old, watching the animated Talkin films, which I saw on TV. That's kind of where I got into it.
Where there's a whip. There's a way. There's a whip. There's a way. Oh yeah, I got you, Thrash.
Win the battle, lose the war. And just and that was around the time that I discovered Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if any of you guys remember the game Dark Tower, which came a little later. I was obsessed with medieval anything by the time I was done with middle school, which is funny. One thing I just want to read into the record before we move too forward. One of the beautiful things about sword and sorcery films is while a lot of them are set in the medieval period, they can go back into the BC.
Yeah,
they can go into a post-apocalyptic future.
Yeah,
there's no timetable. You can place them anywhere in history, which makes them so fun. You can just run the gambit with them, and
when I think of sword and sorcery films, I think mostly of that kind of BC era, like what you would imagine around the time the pyramids were being built, kind of thing. And I know that there's medieval ones too, and that's good. And then there's even the futuristic ones.
Which is funny because there's an upcoming review of Yore. That's right. Yours World, He's the Man. Yes, that's an actual song in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a review on that very soon.
I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it. That's because Yore for me is a guilty pleasure kind of movie.
Oh, it's hilarious. Oh,
Space Hunter from the Future. I forget what the tagline was, but I remember Yore.
But I have to admit that Conan was the first movie R-rated movie that I ever saw, and I was very young when I saw it, and I had I did not know that I was going to see Conan. You see, we snuck into the movie theater, and listen, I was super young. I mean, I was pretty young. I mean, I was like, I think maybe 8 or something like that. But I had some people who were watching me, and they were just older. Like you don't know, like if you're 8 and somebody's 13, you think they're 30.
Right,
you have no idea. You think they're older. And so these two kids that were watching me were like, that one kid that was actually watching me, and it was his brother. I think they were like 12 or 13. And we went and bought tickets to Star Trek. And I think it was the Wrath of Khan. I think it was Star Trek 2. And then they actually went into Conan. And I had no idea. I'm like, when's Star Trek gonna start here? Like, what's the movie is this?
Wow.
And I sat and watched Conan in the theater. And this was in a really super small town. So this was back before they had the, where you had assigned seating. So you could just go in and sit down. There wasn't this assigned seating kind of thing. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Did it make you a man?
A little bit.
Did you walk out like this? You walked out?
I think I did.
You get a Slurpee.
I'm slow. I try to tell people I'm kind of dumb. I don't really. But after it took me a while to sink in that I wasn't watching Star Trek, I actually really enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed it. Go ahead if you have.
Thrash said that I saw you point to yourself when Ian said medieval. Right. So he's like, that's your favorite period. So I have to ask you, were you a fan of Excalibur?
You read my mind. My personal favorite sword and sorcery movie of all time is Excalibur.
Look at that.
In fact, I have left strict instructions with my family that at my funeral, at least one person has to say, "Are you a dream, Thrash? A dream to some, a nightmare to others."
It's a classic.
The movie blew me away when I was a kid. I saw it, I want to say I was 12, 13 years old. I just fell in love with Merlin. Was absolutely amazing. King Arthur. I loved his depiction. That battle sequence where they're trying to bail out Picard. And
yeah. The music
he takes out Urians and is like, "Swear allegiance to me, and I'll let you live." And he's like, "Another night, swear faith to a squire," and he's like bringing it.
Yeah.
And then you're right. I am just a squire, but you can knight me. So, and just that exchange, I fell in love with that movie. I've probably seen it 30 times over the years. Nice. I own a copy on videotape, which is deteriorating as we speak. But every now and then, I was just on the Action Elite a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Excalibur, and I dug it out and watched it, even with the graininess and the deteriorating sound. I still love that movie.
Right on.
Yeah, it's a classic. And Helen Mirren made me feel funny when I watched the movie. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Hey, what do we got as far as
one more thing I got to read to the record?
Okay, go ahead.
Just read the record. That love scene in the beginning with Gabrielle Byrne, that very attractive young lady who played Igraine, that was the director's daughter.
Oh.
And I'm like, you got to say, any director that can direct his 20-year-old daughter to do a love scene with two different men in body armor, you either the consummate professional or a certified weirdo. But either way, I love the scene.
Might be a little bit of both.
A little from column A and a little from column. Okay, let's see what we got here. We have
all right.
We have a blinking system. There we go. Kevin Davis says, "To me, the first Conan was the best."
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really enjoyed the first Conan, but I didn't hate Conan the Destroyer. I have to say that I thought
I love
at the time. Go ahead.
I love it. I love the first one better, obviously.
Yes.
And I hate to say this, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I kind of like Red Sonja, man.
It had its moments. It really did. It had its moments.
You know, Valeria from Conan was the villain in this one. I mean, Arnold. I just wish Arnold was just Conan in the damn movie.
I know.
He looked and fought the same. He was basically Conan.
Well, I think he was going to be Conan, and there was some like red tape or something that they had to go through to make him. But fans have come up with the theory that his name in the movie was just an alias that he had to use for some reason. Fan theory, because it was actually supposed to be a Conan movie, as I recall. And that they just couldn't use that name Conan. It was going to be Red Sonja. I mean, it was still going to be Red Sonja, but he was going to play Conan.
Yeah,
but they just couldn't use that name.
Little Ernie Ray Jr. in there doing his martial arts.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
He was incognito.
Yeah. I love Ernie Reyes Jr.
But Mako,
Georgia Ears says, "Hi, gentlemen." Georgia, always great to see you.
Always good to see you, Georgia. Glad you could be here.
Zuperblick says Zardos.
I know nothing. I know nothing about this. So if somebody knows something about it, say something, because I'm completely
Zardos is a post-apocalyptic film starring Sean Connery, where what happens is the world is reduced to sort of pre-agricultural society, but there's this one enclave of super advanced survivors who, through scientific experimentation, which is breached into the area of magic, they have become immortal in magic using, and use their very high technology to sort of corral the outside humans into sort of doing their bidding. But the system kind of breaks down, and Sean Connery manages to get inside this survivor's city, and hilarity ensues.
I've been wanting to see Zardoz for a long time. I haven't seen it. I'm just saying Zardoz because that's all I remember from the trailer. Over and over.
Is that the one where nobody? Is that the one where they don't know about sex? Is that one where the society doesn't know about sex or something like that?
No, there's lots of sex in it. In fact, Sean Connery, the movie couldn't be made today because Sean Connery actually assaults at least 2 different women by my remembrance of the film.
It was a different time.
It was in our culturally sensitive world today. That would not fly over. He certainly wouldn't be the hero, for sure. Well, what else?
I saw, and I remember that trailer though. He wore some interesting outfits. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's on the list to check out one day.
Super. Let's see. We got a bunch of other people here. Wow, I didn't know. People were like very active in the chats while we were sort of pontificating. So let me skip down here, make sure that I've said hello to everybody. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, Daryl had. I want to ask you guys about Lady Hawk.
Oh yeah.
Lady Hawk.
Yeah.
Did you guys like Lady Hawk?
Oh yeah, Lady Hawk was terrific. That's one of the best. That's a great movie even today. Film wise, it's a little grainy even when you stream it. But I mean, as far as a story goes, I mean, it stands up as one of the best shows ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer's great.
Yeah. They're all good. Michelle Pfeiffer, Matthew Broderick, I thought did a great job.
Have you ever heard the long debate about the soundtrack for Lady Hawk?
No. Please fill us in.
So Richard Donner, I believe, right? Richard Donner did Lady Hawk, I believe.
Directed it, yeah.
And even Rutger Hauer, after the movie came out, was like, "What is this music?" So over the years, fans, the cult following the movie has, they love the soundtrack. They got the record, vinyl, they love it, right? But it's not. Rutger Hauer wanted a more traditional orchestral type of soundtrack throughout the whole movie, but it's all like pop songs. So if you listen to it again, it's basically Richard Donner's. It was his favorite pop band.
Oh wow!
So that's why the movie has modern sounding songs that some people feel like it didn't fit the movie. I don't have an issue with it. But I didn't know if you guys knew about that.
No, I did not know about that at all.
Heard that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I'm quite following you. So like the original one has those, or like they added them later because they like.
No, that's the soundtrack Richard Donner wanted from the beginning. That was it.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
So when Rutger went to see the movie, he was like, "What?"
It's kind of like that one in the 2000s, that night show with Heath Ledger. What was that one where they?
A Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
it's like a Three Stooges cartoon or show where it's like all the anachronisms.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought I was gonna hate it.
And
I refused to see it in theater because I saw the trailer. I was like, "This looks really stupid." And 5 billion years went by, and I actually watched it. I actually liked it. Well, I just thought it was funny.
I thought, I was gonna say. I think that one crossed into so bad that it's good again, genre. Right. So, yeah. What other movies do people want us to riff on?
Highlander. I see Highlander.
Oh, well, let's see this one first.
Well, Patrick D said, I finally saw The Beastmaster recently and must say it was really fun and entertaining, and it had some surprisingly creative elements to it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could go on and on about Beastmaster. That was one of the in my imagination outside with my Nerf boomerang and my wooden sword, and I would pretend to be Beastmaster, because I don't know if you guys remember Nerf boomerang or not.
Oh yeah.
It was 3. It had 3 things on it rather than 2.
Oh yeah.
And the first time I ever got a Nerf boomerang, I knew where my mom kept the money, but I called her because she was a working mom. She's single and she was working. I called her. I said, "Mom," I said, "I got to have a Nerf boomerang. If I clean the whole house, can I take some of the money and go buy a Nerf boomerang?" And she said, "Yes, sure." So I cleaned the whole house. I went out. I bought this really cool blue Nerf boomerang. I went outside the front of the store. I threw it in the parking lot, and it went woo right up on the roof. And that was the end of my Nerf boomerang.
I remember that story.
For my 11th or 12th birthday, my uncle bought me another Nerf boomerang, but it was orange. But I didn't care. I mean, the orange was all right. It was okay with me. I'd rather have the blue one, just because I was into the blue lightsaber. And
you were Beastmaster for a day.
for a minute. No, but I had the orange one for a while though. I would go. I mean, I learned my lesson. I did, but I would go out in the backyard and pretend to be. We had a pretty big backyard, living in a rural place, and I'd be able to throw that boomerang out there and just pretend like I'm hacking people. And the thing was, is Beastmaster used to come on HBO a lot, so it would always inspire me. I'd be like, yeah, let's go pretend we're Beastmaster out in the backyard and have my friends over and stuff like that. What did you think of Beastmaster? I've been on for a while about Beastmaster. Everybody else, you guys talk about it.
Well, if I had to make a top 10 like right now, top 10 sword and sorcery fantasy films of the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
Beastmaster's on the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be there. And it's just so much fun, man. Yeah. And it tripped me out when I first time I watched it. It tripped me out because I was young little samurai. And I was like, is that James from Good Times? What the fuck? Like, what is James from Good Times, doing?
Oh, yeah. He was the guy with the staff. That's right. From Good Times. Right. I remember that.
Look at James over there fighting. Yeah, man, loved it as a kid. Loved it now.
And who's
watching it in 4K, I enjoyed it now.
Who's that kid that was with him? Who was the kid that was with him? Was his mentor? Was he the guy who was in Voyagers? Remember that?
I need to look at the kid again.
Yeah,
I need to see him.
In my head, it's the same kid, but that just could be something in my head. Remember Voyagers? Right. It was a.
I do remember Voyagers. Yeah,
it was a television show about time travel.
That sounds familiar. Yeah,
yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
Anyway, I think the kid in there was the same kid, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And John Amos was the name you were thinking about.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, John Amos. Thank you. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no! I thought we were still talking about Beastmaster.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shogun 76 in the house says, "Remember Dragon Slayer?"
Oh yeah. Love that. It's funny because me and Lady Fat Blood have been thinking about doing it. We're not sure how we're going to do what type of video. We're going to do it live or not live, but the name of the video might be something like "When Disney Had Balls."
Okay, yeah, it sounds.
And a lot of movies that Disney did in the 80s were not kid friendly, but they were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like Return to Oz and stuff like that. But Dragon Slayer, I did not know that was Disney. I had absolutely no idea that was Disney. I mean, that's the movie where the Gandalf guy at the end gets impaled by the dragon claw, gets taken up into the air, and then what was his name? Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. His name is Vigo, that guy. He's the hero of that movie, by the way. I forgot the actor's name.
Right.
He's Vigo. Yeah, that guy. He's like the hero of the Dragon Slayer. He's like the young apprentice. Yeah, so he destroys the amulet, which is on purpose, which blows up the Gandalf guy, which kills the dragon. This is a Disney movie. It's fucking awesome. Like, I did not know that was a Disney movie. But Dragon Slayer is very, very entertaining. And the effects for the dragon for its time were great.
Yeah, I thought it was great, too. I thought, I was really into weapons. I was really into the main guy having like a sword. I really like swords for some reason. And I thought it was interesting that he had a spear, that the spear was kind of like his weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah. Very well done.
Look who's joining us here. Let me just say this real quick. Dave Sundstrom's in the house. Dave, how you doing, brother?
What's up, Dave?
Dave, how you doing? Dave in the house.
Yes. And he says the kid in Beastmaster was Josh Millard. But I don't know who that is. I mean, I don't know that.
The kid from Beastmaster.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know if that's the same kid from Voyagers or if it's not the same kid from Voyagers. But anyway,
Dave says it wasn't.
Oh, okay. Is that what he says? Okay. Oh, all right. Well, I missed that comment there.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got to say hello to Emily Miller is in the house. Says, "Hey,
hello, Emily.
What's up, Emily?
Glad you could be making it. All right. Yeah. What else we got?
Speaking of swords.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
No, please.
Speaking of swords, I don't care how ridiculous it looks. I don't care how ridiculous it is.
Okay.
How unrealistic it is, I don't care. All right. When I was young, and I still like it now, the sword, the 3-bladed sword from Sword and the Sorcerer.
Oh yeah.
3 blades, and it shoots the middle blade out. Come on,
Right.
who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want
Right.
that sword? That's another favorite of mine, but a lot of people think that movie's trash. That's fine. To each his own. I
Yeah,
think it's a fun movie.
I thought it was a fun movie too, and
Yeah.
of course at the time I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Back, I mean, I don't know. I've not watched it since the '80s, so I'm not really sure what my take would be on it now. But I loved it. I thought the sword coming out, the shooting swords were phenomenal. I mean, it was an iconic sword for sure. So, Thrash, did we lose you? You look frozen.
I'm frozen, but I'm gonna stick with my icon rather than go in and out. But I can still actually highlight comments. For example, Dave has an excellent comment. Does Army of Darkness count as Sword and Sorcery?
I'm gonna let the movie. I'm gonna let the movie dojo answer this one. I probably wouldn't.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? We have horror fantasy movies out there.
Yeah, sure.
And Ash is swashbuckling the entire movie. Why not? Why not? And we have magic in it. Why not? Why
so
not?
It has all the ingredients. So
I personally wouldn't label it that, but I don't have an issue with somebody else choosing to label that because it's a horror fantasy. You know, Evil Dead 2 is more straight horror. Yes. You know, Army of Darkness, he's swashbuckling, man. He's, you know, teaching them to do the fighting styles and everything. So that movie actually is a couple of genres. So yeah, it works. Sure.
It's a crossover for sure.
Yeah, why not?
It's even part dark comedy, so you know.
Yeah, it is part dark comedy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Heather Shum says Clash of the Titans, Dragon Slayer, and Beastmaster, few of my faves.
Yes, for sure. All my favorite ones too. Clash of the Titans. That's a good one.
Yeah. Now my first probably Sword and Sorcery movie. I didn't watch Conan until later. But it's Clash of the Titans, man. That's one of my favorite kid movies of all time. I still love it now. Dude, the Medusa scene scared the crap out of me when I was young. I was like, what was it about? What is it about stop motion animation can sometimes be unsettling?
Well, it's the uncanny valley.
The uncanny
it's
valley.
Not natural movement. And that unnatural movement, but is almost natural.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, like, look at in the first Terminator movie, right? When he's like limping all fast towards the door, and it just looks like When I was young, I was like something's
not
scary.
Right. That's scary.
But yeah, Perseus, man, the sword, release the Kraken. I mean, it's too good, man. It's too good.
I thought it was an excellent movie myself. That one actually had toys with it too. I don't know if you. Yeah, it did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It had a toy line, and the toy line looked really cool. I never had a dang one of them, and I was really upset about that. And I went over to. He wasn't a friend, but for some reason, like my parents knew his parents, and he had some of the toys.
You were forced to hang out.
It was weird. I knew him from school. And like, I never even knew him like at all. And like, for some reason I was over at his house one day, I don't know, but he had the toys and he would not let me touch them. And I was blown away by it because I always like, let's play. You know, I'd always like, if I had my Star Wars toys or whatever, and somebody came over and said, do you want to play with the Star Wars toys? Or, you know, or if they asked me about it, I'd be like, let's get them out. You know, I was like, he was like a different kind of human being because he would not let me touch any of his toys. We were like, you know, 12 or something like that. It wasn't it wasn't like older now. Like I understand, like if you had a Star Wars toy now, you might not want somebody to touch it, but you know, but at a kid's age, he didn't want me to touch his toys at all. I was like, oh, something's wrong with this.
So I'm just going to sit here. Thanks for, I'm just going to sit here and watch you play with your toys. Oh, that's great.
And that was what happened. He was messing with it, but he would not let. I was like, oh, can I see it? And he's like, no. And I thought he was kidding at first. I'm like, no. It's like, okay, all right, weird guy.
Well, I see it in the comments. Crawl, Crawl.
Crawl.
I did. Is it really that bad episode on Crawl? and it was fun watching it and revisiting after 5 billion years. I see its flaws. I see the cheese. I see how some of the effects are actually good and some of the effects don't work. I still had fun with Crawl, man. I still liked it. It's Star Wars meets fantasy meets everything. Like it's I think it's a fun movie. And the glaive, bro. If I'm at a convention and I see a copy of, like a bootleg version of the glaive that I can afford, I'm taking the glaive home with me. I don't mind.
I thought the real unique part of that was that weapon. That was a really cool. That was a really cool, unique weapon.
Awesome.
Grass, you okay there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Just remove yourself and then pop back in. That might fix it.
I tried that once. I'll try it again, but I have to.
Okay.
While I'm doing that, Emily Miller said Highlander was good.
Classic. Yeah. Still the best in the whole goddamn franchise.
The first one, yeah.
Yes. It's like, what the hell, man?
The second one was a travesty. The second one was crazy. Was a travesty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was that because of all the the editor's version and all that stuff, or what?
Just all the different versions. They were from the original was like they were aliens. They weren't immortals.
I know.
They were from the planet Zeist. It was so bonkers, man.
I don't even know what happened to that show. I have
and
no
then the
idea.
new version, we're like, all right, we got to get rid of the alien stuff. They're not aliens; they're immortals. They get it. Yeah. You could still enjoy it as a guilty pleasure though, Highlander 2, because Sean Connery's hilarious in that movie. And Michael Ironside looks like he's from a metal band. So he's fun. But three just felt like a remake of 1. And Endgame, oh my God. Like Endgame, I'm still angry that the theatrical release of Endgame you will never find or be able to watch ever again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it made sense. Scenes in that movie made sense. When it came out in DVD, like special edition, they did this director's cut version and they added all these extra scenes. Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
And they had a different ending. They ruined their own movie, which I feel like is the tradition for Highlander sequels. They ruin their own movie.
They ruin their own movie. Yeah, the first one was the only one that I saw the second one a few times, but it was on VHS when it came out on VHS.
Yeah.
And so I really don't know. I mean, I've heard about the controversy about how there's a director's cut and this cut and a theatrical cut, and they've really tampered with it. So I don't really remember it that well, but I don't really know that story that well, but I did watch it and I did start thinking, well, wait a minute, they're supposed to be immortals from the first one. What's going on that these people are aliens now? And
the planet Zeist.
Yeah. I think
and his name's Connor McLeod. Why would an alien be named Connor McLeod?
Right.
Yeah. But back to the original Highlander. Kurgan is one of the best movie villains of all time.
Yes.
Played by the amazing Clancy Brown. And I love his sword, since we're talking about swords again.
Mm-hmm.
The Kurgan sword is great. It's great, man. It has the blades.
That scene where he spins it and he goes all the way around. It's like, I'm like, wow, that scene is so cool. Yeah.
And he had some great lines. I mean, Kurgan is iconic. I bought my wife a Kurgan shirt. She loves Highlander. She loves Kurgan. She loves Clancy Brown. So it was like perfect. And it's just his sword and his headpiece. That's it. That's the only thing that's on the shirt.
Now, Dave brought up something here. He said, I enjoyed the Highlander TV series. I was a casual fan of the Highlander TV series. I enjoyed that too. And I think the last movie had both of them in it, right? It had the guy from the TV and then, and
it wasn't like, it was an amazing movie, but the theatrical made sense. Like it was actually watchable.
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me. When they released it on DVD and maybe Blu-ray, it's this extended version where they added all the scenes, screwing up all the pacing, and they changed the ending, totally different ending, and they ruined their own movie. You think they would have both versions on there? You think they would have the theatrical version of a Highlander Endgame and the special edition, but nope. And they still, to this day, have not released the theatrical. But do you guys remember the trailer for Highlander Endgame?
No. I don't remember the trailer.
Everybody watching right now, when you get free time later, look at the original trailer for Highlander Endgame and look at all the scenes that never happened in the movie.
Oh, really?
They just created stuff for a trailer. So you'll have a scene where the main villain, I forgot his name.
Oh, I love it when they do that.
The main villain, I forgot his name, but he was the main villain in Passenger 57. There's a scene where they cut him in half in the trailer. He gets cut in half. Both sides, create like doubles. So there's two of them now.
Right.
That never happens in the movie. You see them jump out of some kind of time portal vortex, like Connor McLeod and what's the other McLeod? Both McLeods.
Yeah, both. Yeah,
they both jump out of this time vortex. None of that was in the movie.
Oh no,
it's hilarious. Yeah.
No. All right. Well,
one question about the TV show. Did anybody else notice this? If you watch really closely, because they were written by different people, he's actually at two different places at the same time. Like, he took part in the Russian Revolution and fought on the Western Front in the French army during World War I, and those two things were going on at the same time. So how could he be two different people at the same? If you watch closely, there's a few of those where his characters overlap with what would have been other characters, which ruins the mythos where he waits a generation and then starts up someplace else. That was the first thing about the show that kind of threw the game off for me, I must say.
Yeah. There was a TV show that came out kind of recently where the guy dies and then he comes back at the same place.
Oh, really?
Have you seen that? I can't remember who the guy is. It's more recent. It's like 2012 or maybe 13, somewhere around there. And he gets hit by a car every time. He's the guy who played in the Fantastic Four. He played Mr. Fantastic in the like the 2000 version one.
Oh,
with Chris Evans.
I'm not sure what that show is. Interesting.
Not Robert Covenant, The Chronicles of the Unbeliever. I heard that was coming out, but they keep delaying.
Oh, is that coming out? You mean Thomas Covenant?
Thomas Covenant. Robert, that's me. Thomas Covenant. Yes, it's not that, is it? Because I heard they were working.
No, it's a television show. It was a television show. It wasn't that bad, except for every time he dies, he shows up on the same bridge or something like at the same. It's like a bridge, and like he shows up there, and so he's not ever afraid of dying. But but every time he dies, he shows up at that same place. I can't remember the name of that show, but anyway, well, hey, I gotta say that we made up our own heavy metal sword and sorcery show. Me and my friend that I've talked about before, who was blind. I've talked about him a number of times on the program. He was he was in my top 3 best friends in the 80s, and I knew him before he went blind. He's the guy that had the tape player that you could play backwards. Because yeah, and that's how we would play stuff backwards and try to find some back masking on it and stuff, and some weird stuff happened. But he was blind, and so what they did was they actually sent tapes, and they were special tapes that had 4 sides on them. So you play 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4 side on one tape, and if you took a regular tape and played side A1. You could play it backwards, and that's how we played Another One Bites the Dust backwards, and found out that it says start the smoke marrow. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing. I know I've brought this up before on this channel.
I've heard that before.
Again. Yeah. It does. It's true. And it says you can even say it we would even like push record and say, and just start singing Another One Bites the Dust. Another One Bites the Dust. And then play that backwards, and it would say start to smoke marijuana. It was weird. And it says it through the whole thing. It doesn't just like say it once. It says it through the whole thing. It's just it's the weirdest thing. But anyway, that said, he and I used to write stories.
All right.
And one of the stories that he and I came up with was a heavy metal sword and sorcery film. Now somebody's going to do it out there. I'm going to put it all out there. Now somebody's going to do it. But basically,
copyright.
We've got this first. This first. But it basically had to do with Eddie on the icon of Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And basically the idea was that it was going to be in our brain, it was going to be Vince Neil and I forgot that Vince Neil was going to be the archer, and then somebody else, and I think maybe Stephen Piercy and somebody else was hired by this king to go hunt down Eddie and bring him back, like a bounty hunter, to bring him back live.
Okay.
But then they go and they capture him, and as they capture him, and we wrote ourselves into the story too. So as they capture him, what happened is then we find out that he's really nice, and then we get on his side, and then we go back and fight and destroy the king. And that was basically the story. We had all these scenes made up in our head, and we'd act it out in the backyard and stuff like that. So that I think that would make a pretty good sword and sorcery movie. I mean, it's a basic plot. So
do you capture him in an Iron Maiden?
No, I don't capture it. We don't capture him in an Iron Maiden. Nobody actually ever used the Iron Maiden, by the way. That's a myth. That's a historical myth, by the way.
Any Deathstalker fans out there? Have you seen the?
I have not seen
Deathstalker movies.
Not even heard of it.
I'm gonna blink out and blink back in. Oh, one thing before I blink out and blink back in. Mist of Avalon. Yes. Any of you guys seen that one?
No.
That was actually pretty good. That came out about 20 years ago, give or take. It's basically the story of King Arthur, but it's told through the point of view of Morgana.
Oh, wow.
It's actually pretty interesting.
Interesting. All right.
But I'm going to blink out and blink back in again.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Now, what about, let's talk a little bit about Yor, though. I mean, I can't, I know we kind of mentioned it.
He's the man.
In passing, but I mean, I have to admit that was one of my favorite movies back then, and even today I'll watch a little Yor now and again. So did you enjoy Yor?
Oh, hold on a second. Kevin Davis down there says Shogun 76 says he's seen every Deathstalker movie. They're super cheesy, but you can have fun with them.
Okay.
Kevin Davis says you need to start a Kickstarter, man, for your idea for your movie.
Oh yeah, that would. I mean, I don't think I could use Vince Neil anymore or Stephen Piercy, but I think that maybe I don't know about a Kickstarter. I mean, I can just film it myself on my iPhone.
That's true.
I mean,
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Just get makeup and everything. Maybe get a few bucks behind me. Block out some time, and whatever.
Have you seen Knight Riders?
Have I seen Knight Riders? I have not seen Knight Riders.
This was it's very entertaining, and one of the most entertainingly strange movies I've ever seen.
Really?
But I actually had a chance to chit chat with stunt woman Patricia Tallman. She came on the show, and I was cool interviewing her, and we were talking about Knight Riders and stuff like that. And that's how she came. George kind of took her under his wing and stuff like that. But Knight Riders is interesting, man. Have you seen it, Thrash?
I sure have. I saw it on like HBO when I was 12, and I like instantly fell in love with it. To this day, I ask myself, how is this not a thing? It's basically a Renaissance fair, only instead of horses, they ride motorcycles.
Right.
And actually joust.
There's some good stunts. There's some good stunts in it, and Tom Savini is great in it. But you got Ed Harris, the great Ed Harris. That was like one of his earliest roles. It's odd because it's almost like LARPing turned real.
It is.
If you want to think about it that way, LARPing turned real. But it's definitely worth watching now. So
yeah. I got to bring up one here because she's mentioned it a few times, so I just want to make sure we acknowledge her. I'm still waiting to discuss Labyrinth. All right. Well, I mean,
when I think of fantasy, I think of Labyrinth. Not so much sword and sorcery. If Jennifer Connelly whipped out a sword and was fighting the Goblin King, then let's go. For fantasy movies, it's a classic 80s fantasy flick, man, for sure. It was one of my wife's favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
Magic
great
dance.
Movie, but you don't have a swashbuckler. You do have magic, but I wouldn't call what you have between the two of them romance. So I can't call that one sword and sorcery.
I mean, you got the little was it the little fox with the
oh yeah,
right in the dog.
You. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could. I'm not going to argue against someone who wants to make it a sword and sorcery genre and put it in their favorites. I'm not going to argue.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I feel the
No.
same way. I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody really wants to think of something as a sword and sorcery
Yeah.
movie, it's like when you start debating what's a Christmas movie, what's not a Christmas movie. It's just like
Yeah.
if you watch it at Christmas and it's your tradition in your family. I mean, my favorite Christmas movie is Better Off Dead. And we watch it every Christmas, and it's not a Christmas movie. The only thing is that there's a Christmas scene in it. But for some reason, I mean, John Cusack's, my all-time favorite actor, and so we watch it every Christmas. But I don't think anybody else in the world would consider that a Christmas movie.
Hey,
but for us,
hey, Invasion USA, son. There you go. Boom.
One of my favorites is 1977's Wizards, and a lot of people wouldn't consider that, but I love Wizards. Love it. I think I'll watch it
earlier. Oh, there we go. Shogun says there. Any fans of Legend? We got to bring that one up.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
a big one for 80s right there.
Actually, I haven't.
I'm so torn. I mean, Legend. I enjoy it. We reviewed it on the channel a while back. I enjoy it. I mean, Tim Curry as Darkness is insane. When you look at the behind the scenes stuff of him just walking around like that on set, it's just jaw dropping. Unfortunately, it didn't do that well in theater, but I'm so torn with this movie because you have the theatrical version with the what you call soundtrack, Tangerine Dream soundtrack, and then you have the special edition which has extra scenes in it. And some of those extra scenes are really good, like really good. There's an extra scene with her singing that wasn't needed, but the princess, but the music is the original score done by Jerry Goldsmith. And so it's a beautiful score because Jerry Goldsmith's very talented, very whimsical, very fantasy. Like it fits the movie. But if you've grown up with that Tangerine Dream score, which kind of made the movie darker, something felt like off in a good way with that Tangerine Dream score in the original Legend. But when you watch the Jerry Goldsmith one, it's got, it's like a totally different movie experience. But it sucks because the extra scenes in there are really good, man. There's a little bit more action. And I love how they don't show Darkness until he arrives out of the mirror later in the movie. If you watch the theatrical of Legend, they show Darkness in the beginning of the movie. He's sitting there. He's sitting there like a pimp, wanting his goblins to get him a beer. Like, hey, hurry up. You see him in the beginning of the movie. Yeah, it's dark, but you still see him. But in the special edition one, you don't. And then the really awesome looking sea witch that comes out and tries to eat Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
That scene is so much better in the special edition. It's longer. It's so much better. But you're stuck with the Jerry Goldsmith score. So it's like,
right.
Which one are you? Apples and oranges. Which one do you like?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes those are tough to really choose between those, because you can love something both. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can love both of them and really enjoy both of them.
Yeah.
And luckily, I mean, in our universe, we don't have to deal with just one or the other. We can watch them both.
Right.
So that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Shogun 76, I love your name and I love your thumbnail.
Yeah.
That is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
Show enough.
Last Dragon.
Yeah,
Who's
the Last
master?
Dragon. Yeah, show enough.
Bow.
I was confused back then because I couldn't figure out if it's like it. Now I know because I know the difference between a Shogun and Show Enough. But I was like, what's his name? Is his name Shogun or is his name Show Enough? I couldn't figure that out because I knew he went by both. And I was like, no, he's the Shogun of Harlem. His name's Show Enough, but he's the Shogun of Harlem. And I couldn't figure that out when I was a kid. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes he says his name's Show Enough and sometimes he says his name's Shogun.
That's another one of my favorite kid movies, man. When I was a kid, like, oh my God.
Best still today.
You can't remake this.
Oh no.
You can't do it.
I thought about this before because like somebody says, like when somebody takes a role, like for example, when they take a role like Coy and Vance in Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
And that turned out horribly. But you can't blame the actors for wanting to, get take a role, even though it was bad. It's like you can't blame the actors. But let me tell you something. If they try to remake that, I'm blaming actors. You should, if you're an actor out there and you're in Hollywood and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, we're remaking we're remaking The Last Dragon," you better turn that role down. I will not like you. Or The Breakfast Club. They're talking about remaking The Breakfast Club. I don't know what actor out there. Well, it's a buzz, but I'm not sure.
It's going to suck because it's going to be all modern day. It's going to be today's issues.
Yeah,
it's going to suck,
right.
And that's why I fear for the Big Trouble in Little China remake that they've been trying to do for the past 10 years. Another movie you cannot remake. You can't.
You just can't remake it.
You just can't
remake it. Well, what do you think about? Do you ever think there's a good time to remake a movie? I've thought about this before, but
go ahead.
Well, I was interested in what you had to say about it because I mean, some of these movies, I think that, especially if it would serve the movie by remaking it, I mean, not just a cash grab,
like expand on the lore.
Expand on the lore, or so that, and I've mentioned this before because I'm always going to do 3 movies that deserve a reboot, and one of them was that Tom Selleck movie with Gene Simmons in it. Runaway.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was a really good movie, but it just the special effects in it were just too cheesy, and they could remake the movie, not explode it with special effects, but do what they always wanted to do with it because it was actually a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if that is the case with whatever it is, with Sword and Sorcery or whatever, I think then that's okay to make a remake of that because you're just getting the technology to catch up with the vision, basically. So
right, and you pretty much stated what I was actually going to say is remake, or not really reboot. Well, I guess you could remake movies that weren't really that successful, like the movie you just mentioned. right, because there's a lot of really good movies out there that just fell between the cracks. They just didn't make a lot of money, or they become you call them like hidden gems, right? There's a lot of those out there, like you said, had really good ideas, or actually a fun movie on their own, but they need the budget, they need a little extra. Remake those kind of movies,
right?
Don't remake Big Trouble in Little China.
Please don't remake
Big Trouble. Don't remake Die Hard.
Oh, no.
Don't remake Lethal Weapon. I know there's fans of the TV show, but the TV show, it's fine. I'm talking about movies here.
Right.
Some things just need to not be touched. Like just let's Thrash. Let's remake Goodfellas. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's remake Goodfellas.
No, thank you.
Right? Some movies just leave them alone. Let's remake Heat.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Right on. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that there was, if you could take one of these B-grade Sword and Sorcery films and you could recommend it to people and say, hey, look, this is a movie that fell between the cracks that deserves to be watched, which one or ones do you think you would recommend? Now, go ahead.
Have you guys heard of Hawk the Slayer?
No. Well,
you got to check out Hawk. Check out Hawk the Slayer. It's a fun sword and sorcery movie. Yeah.
Okay.
You got Jack Palance, a crap bigger than you. You have him as the main villain. And it's a fun sword and sorcery movie. And it's got an elf that's really good with a bow. It's got a giant. The guy who has it's almost like he uses the Force, but it's magic in this movie. But he has like a sword that has these magical powers, and he has his whole team, which is an elf good with bows. You have a giant, you have a witch, you have all these fun characters. I would say give it a better action sequences and a bigger budget, maybe Hawk the Slayer. But I would go back to Sword and Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
That's
go
a
back
good
to
one.
that.
If you haven't
Yeah.
watched Sword and Sorcerer and you're interested in a really good sword and sorcery movie, that's a good one for people.
Yeah, give it a bigger budget,
Yeah.
flesh out the story a little bit more. You
Yeah.
can do it.
What about you, Thrash? What movie would you recommend to people to watch of
Well, let's
sword and
let's
sorcery
pretend
movies?
someone was like they were unfamiliar with the subgenre altogether. Where they would start. Um, I would have to open with Excalibur. I really, really would. Um, After that, to be honest, I still love me my wizards. I love the idea of a post-apocalyptic sword and sorcery movie. In fact, I think I'm going to watch it tonight when we're done here. I think I'm going to pop it in.
That's it.
And then if you
Thrash,
want
you're
to
going to
get,
review it. You're going to review it.
I've been meaning to for ages. We actually touched upon it. Ian and I did a post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
talk years ago, a year ago, and that featured prominently in it because everyone seems to have a lot of love for that movie, even though it was death in the box office.
Right.
But a lot of people still love that movie to this day. And for those of you, if you want to find something maybe a little more obscure, it was actually on YouTube. I can't swear to it at this point, but there was this made for TV movie. It was intended to be a pilot for a TV show. I caught it when I was 12. The pilot failed, so the show was never picked up, and I was devastated. It was called Archer Fugitive of the Empire. Have either one of you heard about this?
No.
No, I've not.
It's
I've not heard
amazing.
about
I'm
it.
going to make a really long story short. It's set in a post World War III future where Earth is at its medieval levels, but somehow there's been a resurgence of magic. The implication is that the magic is actually technology which has been sort of crafted into be more appear like magic. But either way, people have mastered magic. And there's also mutations which have become like snake men and giants and that type of thing. And there's this tribe which is trying to put all the other tribes together and form a nation. And a villain who doesn't want that to happen has this kid's father killed, makes the kid look like he did it, and he goes off on a quest of revenge and trying to stay alive, and it suddenly becomes the fugitive, where he's being chased by bad guys. He's looking for a different bad guy to get his revenge. He's got a magic bow. He hooks up with this really, really, really hot female swordswoman.
We're in.
And your typical guy who's sort of the sneaky thief, yet also real badass fighter, who becomes his like sidekick. And the movie had everything, and it wasn't picked up. I've watched it in my adult age. It's not quite as iconic as I remembered, but it's so much fun. So if it's still on YouTube, George Kennedy plays the father, who, spoiler alert, gets killed. Pardon me, I'm dying. The pollen count is fatal up here.
That's all right, man.
But it's Archer, Future to the Empire, 1981. Check it out. You will not be disappointed, I promise you.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Sounds good.
Well,
I would like to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I would like to see them make an actual movie of Thundar the Barbarian, because I thought Thundar the Barbarian was a great cartoon, and I think that if they made it into a movie, it would be fantastic.
I'm ashamed I haven't mentioned that yet this show. I'm ashamed of myself that hasn't come up.
What?
Thundar the Barbarian.
Well, if they can't get He-Man right now, if they can't get a live-action He-Man, there's not going to be no Thundar. And guilty pleasure. I really enjoy Masters of the Universe. I'm sorry, the Dolph Lundgren movie. I'm sorry, I like it. I love it. I love it. I mean, what you call as Skeletor is amazing, amazing in that movie, despite everything else being cheap.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a good show. It was. I actually like the movie. Yes, I like the movie better than the cartoon. I have a bad habit of calling movies shows.
Oh,
I don't know.
good.
I don't know why. I mean movie when I say show. For some reason, I do it so often that everybody here knows what I mean. But I like the movie better than I actually like the cartoon. I like the action figures better than I like the cartoon, because they look so much different than the bumbling show the TV show that it was. But the movie I thought it was pretty fun. I like it too.
Skeletor saves it. But Thrash, I know you're bringing up Wizards. Here's another fantasy animated movie that failed that we can bring up, which is perfect for the show. Do you guys remember Fire and Ice?
No, I don't remember. That sounds familiar, though. That sounds really familiar.
That was Frazetta's one attempt at a feature film, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Done by Ralph Bakshi. Yeah. So they had the whole rotoscope animation look and all that. It's a fun movie. I wanted more action in it, but it's fun. It's fun. There's a movie that just came out recently where they tried to emulate the rotoscope, and it's a sword and sorcery movie. Just came out called The Spine of Night. So I don't know if you guys want to look that up out of curiosity, but it's supposed to be in spirit and in essence of the rotoscope animation, but this is straight adults, like really gory and stuff like that. I still haven't watched it yet. But Thundar the Barbarian, if they ever do it, hopefully it won't be the Conan the Barbarian remake.
No, I hope not. I hope not too. That's one show that doesn't need to be remade either. That was perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
So, by the way, it occurs to me, you were asking me which ones I would like to see remade. Excalibur and Conan, those would be my introductions to people who aren't familiar with the subgenre. So those I wouldn't remake. I would like to remake Archer. I just wanted to distinguish that.
One of my favorites, another childhood favorite. You notice it's a theme here. A lot of these movies from the 80s. Another childhood favorite of mine.
Well, I guess.
Willow, man.
Willow. Dave brought up Willow in the comment.
In the
comment. Did you liked Willow, huh? Yeah, I didn't ever get into it. I was kind of I guess because I heard it was George Lucas, I was hoping that it would be more Star Wars-esque, and I was really jonesing for some Star Wars stuff. But that's one of those movies I might have to go back and watch without expectations. You know what I mean? Because when you're expecting something to be more Star Wars-y, and it's not, you're like, oh man.
So again, you went in expecting sci-fi. You got sword.
It wasn't so much that it was going to be sci-fi. Like, I mean, that would have been a big expectation, but I was figuring it was going to be like a fantasy parallel of sci-fi. That's kind of what I was expecting, because George Lucas is doing a movie, hasn't done a movie since Star Wars, and of course, and I was a huge Star Wars, still am most of my memorabilia back there is not all Star Wars related, but a ton of it's Star Wars related. And, so I was just like, oh, this is going to be so. And when I realized that this wasn't just a fantasy parallel of a Star Wars kind of idea, I was like, oh man, but I'll have to go back and watch it. I've heard some good things, and I actually heard are they doing not a reboot, but did they do a sequel?
TV series on Netflix?
Yeah. Disney Plus.
I'm sorry, Disney Plus. Sorry.
You don't seem excited about that.
I did a trailer reaction to it, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, nostalgia, the feels." I think Warwick Davis is going to kill it as Willow Ufgood. I think Warwick Davis is going to be great. My concern is all the brand new characters. We're going to be focused on all these other characters. We're not going to give a shit about these characters. And almost every Disney Plus show so far has been bait and switch. Well, it's called this. You're here for this, but it's about these characters. So hopefully it's good. I want to, I don't want it to suck, right?
Right.
Hopefully, that was cool. But if it sucks, you'll hear it from me.
Right.
I did have one criticism about the movie, and I don't want to knock it or knock people.
Knock it.
But I understand an homage. God knows I love a good homage. I love James Cameron specifically, and I know there's a lot of people on both sides, but I liked Avatar. And the reason I liked Avatar, I'm not going to talk about the second one because I've heard mixed things and I haven't seen it yet. But the first Avatar was an homage to every science fiction book he wrote as a kid. When I was watching Avatar for the first time, he got that from there, and that's from Robert Zelazny, and that's from Brian Aldiss, and that's from Harry Harrison. I mean, I love a good homage, but you have to bring something new to the table. There has to be some elixir, some extra spice. You can't just rehash the old stuff.
Gotcha.
When I saw Willow, I kept waiting for the game changer. I kept waiting for his little nuance, and there wasn't any. And I felt that it was just missing something, and that was my criticism of it.
It's all good.
Yeah, it is.
Mad Morgan.
Folks, we're gonna be wrapping it up here pretty soon. Before that, listen, I got
Is that the time?
I've got a link here to Samurai's page. Please, if you haven't subscribed to it, I'm sure he would appreciate it, as we all would. If you haven't subscribed to my page, please do. And if you haven't subscribed to Thrash Pondo's, please do. We always appreciate those things. Samurai, I just want to thank you so much again for being on the show. Tell us what you got going on over on your channel. What's coming up
on my channel?
On your channel. Did I say it a little too high pitchy? I kind of slid into that one a little like a car salesman. What do you got going on your channel?
Oh, it's all good, man. Let's see.
What do you got coming up?
Well, tomorrow I'm going to be reviewing at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to be reviewing the mob movie, The Outfit. Something a little bit different for the channel. And I'm going to be hanging out with OGP. We're going to be talking about that because he's the mob movie enthusiast guy. So I have a feeling he didn't like it, but it's going to be fun to agree to disagree on that one. But yeah, that's tomorrow. Wednesday, I might be doing a live Q&A. Thursday, I might be, it's a maybe, reviewing Shakma. Yes, cult classic reviews with Radical Reggie and Joe Valley from Media Glitch. And yeah, just look up Shakma. You're gonna laugh hysterically. Okay. What Shakma is. But yeah, it's our cult classic review series. And a future review with coming.
Yes.
His favorite film with John Hancock. With the immortal John Hancock. He's joining me on that one. And that's it as of right now. So
cool. Right on.
If any of you, I haven't done an announcement on my own channel yet. I'm working on it. But if any of you watching right now, if you're at San Diego Comic-Con, come by and see me. That's right. I'll be there. That's right. I'll be on the Kung Fu Extravaganza panel. That's right. The 25th anniversary. And it's going to be Thursday at 8:00 Pacific time. So if you see this big, huge guy walking around with a red mohawk, come say hi. I would love to meet you. And don't forget to show up to the panel. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a whole bunch of special guests and exclusive clips and all that good stuff.
Well, right. If you ever get, if I ever get a chance to get down there, which might actually be in the near future at this point, I will definitely stop on down and see it. Even if it's not a Comic-Con, if I'm ever in town, I'll give you a buzz.
Oh yeah, man.
We'll go pick up some lunch or something like that.
Yeah, let's do it. It'll be fun.
Do a live show.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Thrash, what do you got going on?
Well, I've been having some good luck with my a series of live chats I've been doing, mostly just Q&As on vintage sci-fi, mostly on Night of the Living Dead. For some reason, people who jump on my channel seem to love talking about Night of the Living Dead. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. So if you want to talk about Night of the Living Dead, hop on my channel. And other movies too, like Robot Monster and Return of the Living Dead. Vintage horror, sci-fi, a specialty. I've also... been working on, I'm still doing humor. My top 10 dad joke series continues.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I have a ongoing series on the worst dad jokes in recorded history.
They're the best. I love them. They're so bad.
Where does French fries live?
Where?
In Greece.
Oh. What's their favorite day of the week?
What?
Friday.
Friday. Should have guessed that one.
That's it. I got to start watching that now.
Right.
But the big thing I have, it's I don't know if you folks remember, I did a review of sci-fi post-apocalyptic short film I found here right on YouTube. We Drink No Guns. I've been discovering a lot of really excellent short films on YouTube in the horror subgenre. I'm going to start reviewing those, particularly this one particular channel, which I think is bringing out some amazing content.
Oh, nice.
So watch for YouTube review of YouTube.
Okay.
All right. And upcoming Wizards review, Thrash.
Of course.
You got to do it, man. You got to do
it. You have an assignment from the movie dojo.
I have homework.
Don't let him down.
Subscribe to these guys.
Yes. That's right. Subscribe to this guy.
Please subscribe.
There we go. All right.
I'm up to 152. 152.
Right on. That's cool. I've only got like less than 25 before I get my community page. And when I get my community page, that's going to change a little bit. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, right on, everyone. I just want to thank you. I want to thank everybody in the chat channel for participating. Really, you guys mean the world to me all the time. And I appreciate you guys, your support during the rough transition that I was going through there. And the heartbreak. Everybody who reached out to me, I just want to say I appreciate it. That was really nice of you all to do so and to just bear with me, as it took me a while to get back into the swing of things. But getting back in the swing of things actually helps. So, okay, everyone, God bless you. I love you all, and we will talk to you again real soon.